Hi everyone, this is just going to be a quick video on Python functions and how you can think of them as mathematical functions. From math, you probably remember you can have functions like yx is equal to 3x, and that means you can substitute x with any numbers. Y of 2 is equal to 3, y of 3 is equal to 9. And we can do the same thing in Python by defining a function yx returns 3 times x, and we can call them the same way, y2 and y of 3. Similarly, we can also have functions that have multiple input in math, like a polynomial. For example, x squared plus y. And we can implement this in Python as well. So we can use double multiply for squared. And we can call them the same way as you would in math. Something like this. We can also have functions that take in no input. For example, a constant y is equal to 3. So y doesn't change based on the input, it will always return 3. And in Python, we just have an empty set bracket indicating there's no input, and it will return a value. Well, usually this is not that interesting, not that useful at all, but you could have functions. You can imagine that there are functions where we'll do some heavy calculations and return the result, like doing some heavy calculations here and then return the result of it. Cool. Now you might ask, well, Python functions can take in no argument, multiple arguments, argument as an input, but we call it argument in Python. Can it return nothing? Yes, it definitely can. Unlike mathematical functions, usually in math it always has an output, but in Python you can have functions that just do some actions. So for example, you have a function that just does something like print. Actually, print is a function that has no return value. It doesn't have an output, it just does some action, in this case printing something to the screen. These type of functions cannot be modeled in mathematics. You just gotta think of them as asking someone to do some actions, and these actions can involve calling other functions, which is more powerful than mathematical functions, right? So other than print, there are other Python built-in functions that we can go through. For example, len. Len takes in a sized object, which means some variable that have a size, and it will return the number of items in the container. So for example, if it takes in a string, it will count how many characters in there. If it takes in a list, it will count. It will return the number of elements in that list. So 1, 2, 3 will return 3. And another one is input. This one is a special one because the argument is actually optional, meaning that it can take in no argument, or it can take in one argument, like a prompt to the user. And what it returns is a string of user input, which cannot be modeled in mathematics either. There's no such thing as optional input to a function in math. And that's all I want to cover today. Some built-in functions in Python and how they relate to mathematical functions. And I hope that it will help you understand Python functions a little bit more. Thank you.